Hello everyone, welcome back to the Aikido Virtual Dojo channel. I'm Durward, and along with Marcin, and we're going to talk today about YAMABIKO. And YAMABIKO, you might have heard this in Aikido, and it's kind of an energetic practice that O-sensei used to talk about quite a bit. And essentially it's about giving and receiving. It translates into mountain echo. So imagine you're shouting out into the mountains and you hear the echo back. And that's a little bit of the principle. But today we're going to show you and give you some examples of what YAMABIKO and how YAMABIKO is used in Aikido. So let's take a look.
Basically, as Durward explained, YAMABIKO is translated as mountain echo, which means there is something going out and then coming back at you. So we can see it in many aspects of Aikido, in many techniques or even simple movements or techniques. Let's start with a very basic one, which is a simple push exercise and for the balance. So we are practicing this sometimes for the uke to train his balance and the feeling of the energy coming with the attack. And also for the nage, for the attacker here to be able to sense the reaction of the other person. So it's a good exercise also for practicing in general, but it is based also on the principle of this mountain echo of YAMABIKO. So as I give a little bit of push here, Durward is moving kind of out of balance, out of a stable position, trying to stay standing, but giving in a little bit as I push. And then when I release, he's coming back. And actually, as he's coming back, it's not necessarily to exactly the vertical balance position, but it might come a little bit more back. So when I push and I release, he's kind of adjusting. He's coming back a little bit forward. So it's this principle of mountain echo, of this echo is I'm sending some energy out and the energy is coming back. And I can invite it then to continue the movement in a way where it's dragging him into the movement, into a technique, for example, or something like this. So this was an example of a simple exercise, simple practice of a mountain echo based on the mountain echo principle without going into techniques yet. And now let's have a look at some basic techniques in Aikido that are using this principle, where it is very visible. So even if you didn't know this name before, or this principle before, you were not aware of this, you were for sure practicing it already. Let's have a look first at Shomenuchi Ikkyo Urawaza. So when I start here, for the Urawaza I enter to the side of the uke, take the elbow, and this is actually the moment when I touch the center line. When I connect into the center line and I give a little push, which is bringing Durward out of balance, and then as he wants to come back into balance, I will open up the space and drag him into this empty space. So you can see clearly here this, what I was showing in the first exercise as well, you can clearly see this effect of the push out of a stable position, and as he's coming back, I'm drawing him into the technique. Another example where it is very, very visible, it's a kaiten nage. Let's start with a basic katate-dori kaiten nage. And I can do the uchi-mawari, which will be even better. So here, as I turn, I go on the center line. I connect into the center line, and here you can see the push. And then as I step back and draw in, I let Durward come back and invite him to continue this movement in order to get into this kaiten nage position. So you can see again this moment where there is a push and coming back into balance by the uke, which is then extended into the movement, into the technique. Even without doing one specific technique, before you start the technique actually, or when you are just connecting and opening for a technique from the attack, you can already use this principle, this YAMABIKO principle. And this can be seen in the attack Katadori Menuchi. So in Katadori Menuchi, Durward is grabbing my shoulder, my arm, and I connect with a Shomen Uchi movement. connecting into the center line, applying some pressure, and then releasing back as I turn around with the tenkan, which forces Durward to follow through and fall into the empty space again. So it's kind of I'm pushing away, and then as he is coming back, I'm inviting into the space that I'm opening for him. And this is actually what brings him out of balance and allows me to continue with any other technique that can be done, any technique actually that can be done from this attack, be it kotegaeshi or shihonage, iriminage, ikkyo, whatever. So all the techniques, before I go into the technique from this attack, I will start with a mountain echo.
So in using YAMABIKO, we can see this in many of the techniques that we often practice, with whatever style you're practicing as well. And we can also look at YAMABIKO in maybe some other ways, maybe ways that we're not really used to or not really aware of. And one particular area is atemi. And atemi often is thought of when the person who's doing the techniques makes kind of a strike or has a counter strike or something like that. But in a way, atemi might be thought of as a way to connect to the center line or kind of get your partner's attention. And to do this, you need to essentially send out some energy. So we're going to look at this at kind of an energetic level. So let me show you what I mean. When we're working with this, let's start off with a regular katatedori attack, and we'll show this very simply. I'm going to move out as if I'm going to do, maybe for example, at a katatedori ikkyo. And as I move, I also fill in the space with an atemi. Okay, and this kind of keeps my partner engaged and connects right into his center line, but it also has an energetic sense where I connect in and then release. Okay, and as I release, then I can move on to the rest of the technique. And he has this sense of being caught and trapped into it, okay, or being taken by it. So if we look at this again, here, I move out and then release. There's a lot of examples of atemi. Even if we're doing things, for example, in Kino Nagare, as we presented before with Katedori Manuchi, if he's coming in for the Katedori attack and I already reach in and release, then that's another form of practicing atemi. Okay? Catching your partner's attention before. So once again, he comes in and I catch his attention into it. Okay? So there's a little bit of this kind of moment where it catches his attention. We're going to look at one more area where we can sort of use or where YAMABIKO comes into play, and that's really without any sort of physical contact, but it's more of an energetic sense, okay, where we, again, capture our partner's attention with just kind of a larger energy. So let's say, for example, my partner is going to attack with a Yoka Manuchi. And so he's going to come in, boom, there. Okay? And as he does, I'm going to sort of reach in with my feeling, with my the energetic presence. Okay? And this is hard to see, but you can almost feel it. As he comes in, I want to reach in and then let him through. So anytime he's coming into an attack with anything, then I can also fill in the space and then release it. So this is YAMABIKO, right? Okay. And this can be practiced more just as a principle in a sort of a jiyuwaza way, where he's coming in, and I have a simple moment where I'm filling in the space. Okay? So anyway, there's many ways of looking at YAMABIKO, and these are just a few ways that we would like to present to you for today. If you like this video, please subscribe to it and also like it, and that way we can continue showing you more and interesting different principles and aspects of Aikido.